Hi, my name is Teddy. I'm part of the engineering team at Collate, and I'm super excited to share with you how you can leverage AskCollate from the perspective of a data engineer in your organization so that you can reduce the time it takes to find anomalies and put remediation steps in place. All right, let's dive into our investigation into the issues that we have seen with our customer report dashboard. Can you show the tables used to generate my customer report dashboard? So to understand that those anomalies, we'll first ask our agent to show us what are the tables used to generate this specific customer report dashboard. Perfect. We now have the answer from our agent, and we'll see that the structure of the response is going to be very similar throughout the investigation. So at the top, we have our dynamic component. The dynamic component is an item that Collate users will be very familiar with, and that dynamic component is fully interactable. So I can click on a node, for example, to get more information about that specific table, or I can also look at the different layers that are composing my lineage. So for example, if I want to get column level lineage, I'm able to expand that view to get information directly within the component. And then at the bottom, I will have a summary that is provided by AskCollate, right, by the agent. So we can see that we have 5 tables that are used to generate our customer report dashboard, and they all belong to our Collate shop schema. And we can see that customer 360 is the table directly responsible for generating data in customer report. All right. So now that we have an understanding of this flow of data into our customer report dashboard, we want to see and understand if there are any anomalies with the data that are feeding into our customer report dashboard. Can you search for this table and tell me if you see any anomalies? For example, negative values, null values, duplicate, etc. with the data and statistics? So now we'll ask Collate to search for this table and tell us if there are any anomalies with the statistics and the data. And we'll give it some example of what we think are anomalies with our data. And as our agent is proceeding, if we expand the thinking box, we are able to see the step it is taking to go and fetch and retrieve the information required to answer our request. All right, I now have a full summary and a full detail of the profiling and statistic of the different table composing the data flow of the customer report dashboard. And I can navigate and look at the summary of data through my dynamic component directly in the interaction box. And I can also directly click on the link so that I will be redirected to that specific entity in Collate so that I can go further into exploration and get more information and details about this specific table. And then at the bottom, I will see a full summary of the data and analysis that were generated by our agent, right? So I can have a full detail for each specific table. And then at the very bottom, I will see the summary of the investigation that was performed by our agent. And so from here, I can see that in our products table, for the unit price column, that it contains 2 negative values that seems to be a data entry error for a product pricing, right? Because we are expecting unit price to be not negative most of the time. And all the other fields seems to be okay, right? So from here, after just a few minutes, I already have some very interesting information into potential anomalies that are causing a problem inside my customer report dashboard, right? So from there, I can go ahead and go to my system and directly address the issue on the unit price column inside my products table. And then what I also want to do is put steps in place so that if an issue like this happens again, then I will be proactively informed of a data test failure so that I can address the issue before it impacts any data consumer. So let's go ahead and ask Collate to perform that action for us. Can you create the relevant test cases for my products table? So we'll ask AskCollate to create the relevant test cases based on its analysis for our products table. Perfect. Our agent has now went ahead and created 16 new test cases inside our products table. And we can see that it used 5 dimensions to generate those data quality tests, so completeness, uniqueness, accuracy, validity, and integrity. And most importantly, it first checked if there were any existing test cases. So in our case, there were 0 existing test cases that were previously defined in our products table. And so, it went and checked those test cases to make sure that it does not create any duplicate test cases. So we can now navigate to our product table and verify that our data quality tests were indeed generated, right? So we can now navigate to the data quality tab, and here we can see that we have multiple test cases that were generated by the agent. And more importantly, we can see that our agent went ahead and created a range validation for our unit price column to make sure that the issue and the anomaly that we saw in the data is being caught early so that we can address it before impacting the data consumer. So you can see with AskCollate that we are able in less than 10 minutes to understand the flow of data feeding our dashboard, then perform a full analysis of the statistics and the data for this table feeding into our customer dashboard, and then go ahead and implement a battery of tests for the table that was causing an issue. If you think about the step that you would have had to take before AskCollate, you would have had to go into individual system, run queries against different tables, try to understand the statistic and generate the statistics for this data, and then perform a full-on analysis. With AskCollate, we are reducing the time that it takes you to resolve any ongoing issue with your data so that data consumer gets clean and sane data faster.
And try it.